Hello and welcome back to Devil's Gambit. We will be continuing where we left off, which, if you recall, is after Cadgan made the decision to tell Teresa that he is two people in order to allow Rain to have somebody else to be able to speak with and to essentially have another friend, in other words. And he did this because he could see that despite the fact that Rain never let it on, that he was very, very lonely, and that despite the fact that he appreciated that he had his teacher and that he had Cadgan to basically be around, that wasn't enough. He needed more people. He needed a community too. It's the one thing that he doesn't have that Cadgan has, even though Cadgan doesn't really care either. So he's like, you know what? I'm gonna have Teresa, who is technically his friend, come in and then, see that there is two people. There is me, Cadgan, and then there is Rain. And I'm doing this so that Rain has her, to be his friend now. And despite the fact that Irinen was a little it's very dangerous for her, it's like, you know what? It has to happen. And she understood. She immediately recognized Rain as the little prankster, the little troublemaker. And it was, you could also see the whole the way that Rain is gradually turning into what we're going to be seeing in the future. And the very distinctive, there is Rain and then there is Cadgan. But yeah. Anywho, so yeah, without further ado, let us continue Devil's Gambit. Another year in which the Leaf Burning Festival came and went without incident. A few travelers happened to be passing by and joined the festivities, cheering on from the sidelines and drinking themselves to puking. They had a good time, a jolly great time indeed. To them, Renai must have seemed like such a happy place and the festival a fun celebration. But to us, it was quiet. It had to be, with Irnin refusing to come to town and all the other priests and priestesses gone. The villagers still remembered the songs and dances, the recipes and the drinks, but the ropes that they wove were fraying at the edges already. Before it came time to burn them, they had already come undone. Not unlike our hands. That's what the other me thought. He looked down at our fingers, but I pushed his head up to see the dancers and their attire, just as a wolf's loincloth came undone and flew into the bonfire. Oh, that's some shoddy craftsmanship. Everything's all wrong, Caddy. They're already forgetting how it's done. They need someone to show them how the demons of Renai ought to do it. Sure. But his voice had a tinge to it. It told me that sure was more of a no. We should start by getting ourselves proper demon clothes. A wolfess bra went flying off into the fire. Cadgan thought that it was an accident, but I saw the eyes that she was throwing. She was doing it on purpose. Hopefully better than what they put together. Yes, they aren't even drawing the runes right. It doesn't matter if they get them wrong, they are only playing. Yes, but we need the real stuff, Caddy. The uniform of our people, our old magic. After a moment, Cadgan nodded. He tried to put on a smile, but I sensed his thoughts reshaping into something else. It was difficult making sense of my other self's thoughts, but one thing that I could see, he felt some kind of sadness. That's funny. I thought that he had given it all to me. Teacher once spoke of a ruin that still held the ceremonial attire from old Renai. A place where Mom and Dad used to stash things that they needed to keep away from the other's eyes, deep in the valley, where nobody dared to venture too deep, shrouded by fear and darkened beasts. That was a long time ago, but now, during the quiet nights, when we struggle to fall asleep, I hear them calling to me. My other self, he can stand in the light of the village and wear the disguise, but I'm a shaman. That's what I am. I'm the tree that twists within itself. I am the soil and tangled roots keeping them grounded to Renai and away from the eye. But I am incomplete. Not because of Caddy, no. It's the opposite, actually. Sure, I used to be confused and sad at the purpose that he gave me. I resented him for it. But no more. In splitting us, he's made us more complete than we'd ever be, well, whole. Instead, I am incomplete because we are alone. Shamans would be a pack. Their steps together make the earth and the invaders tremble. Together they fashion illusions and fictions that bury the eye deeper and deeper in the dark of the jail cell. But we are alone, a forest of a single tree. I wonder if it was all our upbringing that saved us. Mom and Dad weren't shamans, but they were still priests. They existed in a space between nature and the eye, and that is how they raised Cadgan. Maybe there was a special quality to him. Did he know something the others did not? Was he closer somehow to the eye, and that's why he was spared? Or maybe it was the rituals and ceremonies. He feared and respected the eye. He knew the stories and traditions. Or maybe the runes Dad carved to silver were etched in his mind because he knew the magic to contain the eye. That alone might have protected him. You can't say that it wasn't it. Runes don't work like that, but magic is different in the proximity of a dark god. Who could say? He was the youngest in the lab, sure. He was the last to be injected. Just what was left of the eye's essence, yes. But it couldn't have been something so simple, so mundane. Regardless, we were stuck between two frightful gods, brother. Why are you hesitating? Why now? No, I will not stop. This is what I am. I inherited the old Cadgan's magic, his dream to become a priest of Renai, his sadness. What remains of ancient Renai is ours by right, and if you will reject it, then it will be mine and mine alone. The red and the gold bracelets, the loop of spiral beads, the purple rune belt, like those of the dancers at the leaf-burning festival, but real. Run Sky, the ancient rune adapted by those of our heritage. To close your eyes is to be protected from the dark god's truth and to keep it asleep. All the wolves and shamans from so long ago. You sacrificed your bodies, your city, your lives, all to protect nature from the eye. My ancestors, let me carry your burden. Crush me with your weight and your purpose. Give me the knife claw to carve a space in this world for my own self. As long as I can do that, I will shoulder this burden. Because this is what I am, and it is best to be crushed by this weight than the alternative. The emptiness that lies beyond, to lose what makes me what I am, whatever I may be. Please, let me have a self. 2 years later, Rain had a hand on his chin as he contemplated the arrangement of stones on the tablet in front of him. Each stone had a colored number painted on it and had a faint sweet smell that reminded me of fruit, and they were grouped by color or number. Teresa was sitting across from him and Iernan next to them. Each of the three had a few rocks concealed behind a small piece of wood. I couldn't see Teresa's hand, but it was obvious to me that she was about to play her last stone and win. She didn't bother hiding how much she was anticipating Rain's next move, expecting him to open the path to her victory. Which was indeed what happened. Iernan didn't have anything to play, so when her turn came, Teresa placed her last rock and raised her arms in celebration. Rain wasn't very good at this sort of game. Half the time he attempted illegal moves, and he couldn't really understand what he had to do in order to win, but he had fun anyway. He was a grown man by now. The purple tint on his ear tips had become a permanent fixture, and not much later his feet shifted to hooves. He had been wanting more drastic changes after we visited the shaman tree and prayed to the ancient shamans, to Rudner, the compassionate, or the Wolfar guy, as Rain liked to call him. Although he wouldn't get the chance to call himself by Run Sky for 3 more years, he had been playing around with the idea of that name, his demon self, as he called it. He had taken the inspiration from the strategies of ancient Renai, wolves touched by the eye, shamans like him and I, pretending to be fully fledged demons in the service of a dark god to keep others away from the valley. Reading those texts thunderstruck Rain with inspiration, and he began making up stories about this demon self of his. He even started wearing bits and pieces of the Renanian attire that he looted from a tomb in the valley. It goes without saying that he was extremely pleased when his body changed further. As for me, using the money that I saved for years of helping in Teresa's farm, I was able to buy an abandoned shack near the Baron. During the spring, I learned that the basics of masonry and fixed it myself. Dad often came to help, and it was the only time that he came to Renai. I was able to move out in time for summer. We still visited Dad every day for dinner, though, and we spent the following winter at the shrine with him. It'd be another year before we had the money for a stove, and a few months more to buy our first cooking pot. It had been shortly after moving that I did dedicate myself fully to my job as a lumberjack. Since the day that we learned about the plague, Rain stopped writing letters altogether. He was still waiting to hear back from Hector, but he never brought up the idea of going to Oblon. Was he afraid that Hector was really dead, or that he lived but had simply forgotten all about us? He never said, nor did he let any of his feelings on this matter spill over to my side. This alone he kept close to his heart. But now that I know, he held on to a faint hope that his first friend would return one day, be it tomorrow or in 9 years. He'd keep waiting. That hope was a single ember that he kept alive in the snowy peak of a mountain. He feared that if he did as much as move and let some of that frigid wind in, that it'd be extinguished completely. So he protected it against everything, against mine and Iernan's scrutiny, against all the unanswered letters, and against death itself. My brother never let go of that ember. When Teresa finished celebrating and immediately began preparing the table for another game, I touched Rain's shoulder. Startled, he looked out the window. The sun was setting. It would soon dip under the tree line. I took his hand and let me switch in. Well, that was fun, but you'll have to excuse us now. Oh, where are you going? I'm visiting the graves today. Someone has to take care of them. I'm sure that the dead wouldn't mind one more game. Sorry, I'd rather do it before it gets dark. Besides, we've kept you away from your boyfriend for too long. We wouldn't want him to get jealous. He's not that type of guy. You're just afraid of losing again. Uh-huh. But really, do you mind if I come with you? I wish that I had known that you were going there today. I'd have gotten them some flowers. Come along, it's fine. I'd accompany you two, Snowball, but I need some rest now. God knows my body isn't what it used to be. It's what you get for living all the way out here by yourself. Why don't you come back to the village, Iernan? Don't tell me that you're afraid of Leopoldino. Of course not. Then? Iernan's voice came out low and strained, almost a whisper. I'll return when they grow back a spine. Dad was quick to snarl and claw when he got angry, but when it pushed into the territory of fury, when he could pretend no longer, his voice got quieter and almost feminine, like an old woman's. But Teresa couldn't pick that up, or perhaps by then she had become fully aware that Iernan's spite made an exception for her. You sound just like Rain. His anger must be contagious. I better get out of here before I become a hermit too. Now I can't help but wonder if she, despite her jokes and levity, also held some of that same resentment deep down. Let's go, Caddy. Indeed, with the years Iernan only grew more resentful towards Renai. I guess that, as a priest, he couldn't ignore how the town was quick to forget Leopoldino's victims. They say time heals all wounds, but that's not always true. Sometimes it festers, sometimes it doesn't close right, sometimes the nerves are left all wrong and knotted in pain. I was often told that the people of Renai wanted Dad to come back, but that is not exactly right. They wanted the Iernan who had never been wounded, whose injuries had never festered, whose sight would not remind them of their own scars. The good priest who would help them when they needed, who could brew rudimentary elixirs, who cooked for and organized the fun festivities they remembered. They wanted immunity, not to punishment, because losing their loved ones was wrongdoing enough already, but to consequences. They wanted an Iernan who did not exist, and were not so opposed to casting out the version of him that didn't fit their desires. Because he was a violation of their tacit agreement to forget. Because remembering is enough to reopen the wound. Nobody mentioned the disappeared wolves again. By then Renai knew that they were dead. What else would it mean for the only person to come back to make graves for the others? And they knew who was responsible, but they were powerless, so they forced themselves to move on, to bite down the pain and humiliation and forget it, even at the cost of the dead's dignity. Even if it means not making eye contact with me, not talking to me, if they can help it. Meanwhile, Iernan's and Rain's wounds continued to rot and fester. Rain never got over his fear of losing his loved ones. How could he? As much as I wasn't conscious of it at the time, and as much as I regret it, that is the existence that I sentenced him to. And Iernan, seeing the dead being forgotten, filled his heart with bitterness. A few years ago, he might have had enough strength to forgive Renai for not helping us, but seeing how we were treated after our return snuffed out whatever care he had left for the town. I let Teresa into our secret for Rain's sake, but I was glad that she had gotten to know Iernat as well. That day, when we climbed the hill to tend to the graves, we found something that we didn't expect. A lioness was kneeling in front of one of the statues, her head low and shoulders slouched. She was crushing grass and leaves in her fist. When she heard us approach, she turned to face us with a curious, almost cautious smile. And then I realized the lioness was actually a boy. In my defense, lions don't usually cut their manes so short. In my time in the mansion, I had learned that it is either seen as effeminate or as the kind of thing fashionable nobles are known to do. Oh, I didn't expect anyone else to come here today. And we for sure weren't expecting a lion's kid. What are you doing here? A kid? I'd say that I look about as young as you do, miss. Oh, such honeyed words. Forgive my curiosity, but what is a lion doing here? Something like a smile cracked the corner of his lips. It felt familiar, but I couldn't quite place it. Just paying my respects. Allow me a few more minutes, please. Me and Teresa exchanged a surprised look, and we stepped back to give him some privacy. Paying respects? Did a lion die in the experiment too? But we never made a grave for them. It was only wolves as far as I'm aware, but I do remember at least one of the guards got taken down by the other prisoners. Still, why would he come to mourn him here? Good question. I'm curious now. Let's ask him about it. A lion in the resting place of the Duke's victims? Clearly he was here to vandalize the graves. Let's kill him, Cadgan. Calm down, you. Once the lion stood up, we approached him again. I was still picking my words, so Teresa got ahead and asked him first. Did you know them? Just one. He pointed at Alva's statue with what Rain would later describe as the indifference of someone failing to tough it out. She was a nice lady, helped me with my job. What would that be? I am an appraiser in training. The Duke gives me artifacts to identify their function and value. She used to help me whenever I stumbled upon a rune that I didn't know. There are so many different woven dialects and magic systems built upon them, but she knew nearly all of them. So she came to become a sort of teacher for me, behind my old man's back. Elva, she was a daughter to the farmers. Her mother died in childbirth, her father in an accident when she was 7. A family of priests adopted her. They cared for another shrine in a neighboring town. She learned woven history and how to read, but had no knack for magic herself, so she didn't follow her adopted family's role. She married and moved to Renai, but didn't have children. Her husband, a fisherman, was found drowned in the river a year before the Duke kidnapped us. He knew how to swim. One day the old Cadgan had been playing with Teresa when it started to rain. Elva invited them in until it passed. She knew him, knew his parents, asked about small things only a friend would know. Elva, this person that I remember from memories that are not mine, facts laid on the table. And a face burned in my memory, one of many that anointed us in the lab. She was 47 years old when she passed. Caddy. Hey, Caddy. My ears twitched as Rain spoke. I'm curious about his eye. Ask him about it. I didn't. Teresa broke the silence and got ahead of me again. By the way, I'm Teresa. I help my family run a farm back in town. And this is Cadgan. He's a lumberjack. There was something to him, but I couldn't quite place my finger on what. I tried getting Rain's help to make sense of it, but... Cadgan, ask him. I'm Ricardo. Pleased to meet you. By any chance, are you the ones that put these graves here? That we are. I see. I caught wind of them some time ago from the servants' gossip, but I never saw anyone coming up here. His gaze fixated on me, and he squints. You seem awfully familiar. Have we met before? Cadgan. Shush. Excuse me? We might have. I spent 2 years kidnapped by Leopoldino. Then, my God, you are the survivor of that horrible experiment. I am so sorry. You know about that? I only heard bits and pieces. The Duke was very secretive about what he was doing and the guards were tight-lipped. I figured that he threatened to cut their tongue if they spoke as much as a word about it. No wonder, if the Duke didn't do it, then the Inquisition might have. More importantly, everything fell into place then. I remembered a younger Ricardo approaching Rain back when we were in the mansion. But Rain, being Rain, shouted at him and tried to hit him. Even back then, Ricardo was both agile enough to dodge and cool-headed enough to know when to make a retreat. He had just wanted to ask about Elva, didn't he? Damn it. Man, we used to be the same height. You kinda grew up. At first, I thought that he might be jealous, but the way his words hung in the air, voice choked as if he decided not to speak his mind. I felt an impulse to comment on his lack of growth spurt, but... Cadgan! What happened to your eye? I had a fight with my father. He doesn't like me coming here. But it's okay, I gave him one too, so we're even. I chuckled. I think I remember you now. I see, and I think you finally answered my question after so many years. He glanced at Elva's grave and put his hands in his pockets. Both Teresa and Rain went quiet. For a moment there, when I saw the way that he looked at Elva's statue, I felt a pang of pain on the back of my mind. But it didn't last long. A chill on my spine overtook my senses as it dawned on me that I wasn't the person that he asked this question to, was I? Mine only was the face that he talked with, much like the villagers of Ranai who once knew a boy named Cadgan and whose body I inhabit. God, isn't it funny? Rain fought claw and fang to scrouge together enough pieces to make an identity for himself. While I'm suffocating in what remains of the old Cadgan, having to pretend that I'm him while never being able to lie to myself about it. And it just keeps going, doesn't it? If I gave my sadness to Rain, then why does it feel like I'm about to cry? Did I really put him through all of that grief only to end up like this? God, Rain's the one who's learning a dark god's magic, but he is not the real demon here, is he? It's me. I'm the real demon. I'm wearing a dead child's skin as my own face. One day, it's all going to break out from me. All the horror, all the pain, maybe even the eye itself. It'll come from me by my own bloody hand. And even if it feels like I can see the future laid out before me, even as Rain cowers and begs me to stop, I know that I cannot stop it from happening. The Duke, the Eye, the people of Ranai have plotted the course of our destruction. Cadgan? Are you alright? Why is she asking? Is there something on my face? I try to say something back, but that's when I realize that I can't breathe. I cannot breathe and Rain is not choking me. So I think back to what a smile is supposed to look and fake it as best as I can. I'm fine. I managed to hold it together, and after I insisted on it, Teresa understood. She changed the subject and reminded us that it was getting late. With Ricardo's help, we got to cleaning the leaves and making sure that the statues were still firmly in place. When we parted ways, I knew that I'd find him kneeling at the hill again one day. Perhaps that was why I began visiting more often. Ricardo was interesting, and even Rain didn't seem to mind him that much, lying or not. He had also lost someone to Leopoldino. Seeing him hurt, I didn't know that I was still capable of feeling that kind of pain, but I was, and for some reason I was not afraid of it. I did not recoil from it. Little by little the pain grew smaller until I could forget that it ever hurt at all. Every week or so we continued crossing paths by the graves. One time he brought her a gift, a couple of colorful bracelets that she had taught him to weave. He put them around her statue and they actually looked kind of cute. That day Ricardo proposed something baffling to me. Well now, how about a change of scenery? Such as? There is a tavern in town that I like to frequent. Let's go there and get some drinks. I'll even pay. You? A tavern in Ranai? What's with that face? Sorry, it's just... You look sort of a lightweight. It's hard to picture you drinking. I assure you that I am a regular, and I can hold my alcohol just fine. You're a strange lion. I could say the same about you, befriending a lion. Are we going to start worrying about these details now? I didn't think much of it at the time, but the notion that Ricardo was my friend seemed natural. I couldn't even consider it worthy of scrutiny or questioning. It's funny. Rain became friends with Hector on his own, and if anything, I only followed suit. As for Teresa, she was friends with the old Cadgan, and because I wear his face, she could think of me as being the same person as him, or at least similar enough to merit the same name. Ever since I returned to Ranai, people had kept me at arm's length. I was an uncomfortable reminder of their pain, so I didn't exactly make any friends among the villagers. Ricardo was the first friend that I made entirely on my own, and what brought us together was a shared pain. So I didn't think twice. Being friends with a lion wouldn't be the weirdest thing about me anyway. Lead the way. I'll never forget the look that we got when we entered the tavern and sat down to have a drink together. But I just ignored them. After years of trying to forget what had happened to us, ignoring my existence, someone finally sympathized. That someone was a lion. But what now? None of them had a right to complain. We drank ourselves under the table that night. Ricardo had the idea of finding out which of us held our liquor better, and kept buying drinks until we couldn't sit straight anymore. It was the first time that I heard Rain cry in a long time, although he sounded sort of happy to. He didn't say Hector's name a lot, something he hadn't done since he immersed himself in his shaman training. In my attempt to console him, I might have talked out loud in front of Ricardo. Thankfully, he was too drunk to think anything of it, or so I thought. I'll admit that Ricardo knew how to hold his drink, but there was only so much that he could take before his size got the best of him. Seeing him stumble his way to the door, making a point of talking with every grumpy, comatose, and dancing patron on the way to it, I just couldn't let him walk home on his own. He lived in the Barren, not too far from my shack, but still out of the way for me. At first, I tried to keep my guard up, watching out for any movement in the shadowy alleyways. A drunken lion stumbling about in the small hours could attract unwanted attention. But as we made our ways past flickering lampposts with the stars painted on the sky above, my own inebriation got the best of me, and for the first time in a while, I felt unburdened, light. At the edge of my mind, I felt a thought swimming up, that I was still the same thing as before, the alchemical offspring of a dark god, some ghost parading with the face that I took from a corpse. But I didn't care. So fucking what? It didn't make a difference. At least not when I was sloshed. You gotta... Watch out, man. I looked to the ground, assuming that he had noticed the tripping hazard on the cobblestones, and when I couldn't find anything, I almost entertained the thought that he had seen someone suspicious up ahead. Almost because I was so drunk that I was past the point of caring much about anything. What do you mean? Those guys, well, the ones drinking beside us, they were giving you the stink eye after you started talking to yourself. Lots of people giving you that mean stare all over the night. Even before you went all like, no, don't cry, and Hector, this and that. A tiny bat swooped past the lamppost, catching one of the moths flying around it, that captured Ricardo's attention, and mine too, I must admit. What was I talking about? I rubbed my temples. What were we discussing again? Something about an eye? Yeah, stink eye. I said something like that and... Poor Ricardo. Even today, I couldn't help but think of the gargantuan effort that he went through to pull his nerves together with all that liquor in him. It took him a good minute to remember. Something about Hector. That ain't a Wolven name, ain't it? Who's this guy? You into him or something? I blinked, waiting for Rain's response. It felt rude not to, like talking about someone who's right beside you, as though they weren't there. But he was already unconscious, and that's when it dawned on me. Tonight, I was on my own. That was both dirty and exciting. Hector? A part of me is into him, I could say. I met him a few years ago, when the Duke's doctor abandoned their station, leaving him with no choice but to employ a witch doctor with too much greed and too few scruples. A man who was not above using his own son to barter compliance out of a wolf child whose mind was being fractured by a dark god. Hector, this manipulated child who did nothing wrong and nonetheless became my other self's obsession. Does he think about us? I don't even know if he's alive. Maybe he's like the old Cadgan. Maybe all the pains, fears, and anxieties that once weighed down on him are no more. Maybe he's gone to the place where none of this matters. We met back when the Duke had us captive. Badger kid, same age as me. Oh, that little chubby one? I think I saw him once or twice. Never talked to him, though. For a moment there, I was wondering if he was another victim of the experiment or something. The experiment or something. I laughed, but I really wanted to clock him in the face right then and there. But he didn't seem to notice. I think you're really cool, you know that. Where's that coming from? It's like, you like this Badger guy. That's cool, is what I'm saying. My dad's always giving me shit because he caught me going on with the Wolfis. Calls me a freak and all sorts of fucked up stuff. But I can't help liking who I like. At least Dad doesn't know that I like guys too. He'd fucking kill me if he did. I raised an eyebrow. No, don't look at me like that. I am not hitting on you or anything. My girlfriend would kill me too if I did. And as hot as that would be, I am not ready to go out yet. Ricardo started giggling, more like an idiot than tonight's usual. I kept quiet, closed my eyes, and little by little, it all made sense. Lions have it easy in Renai. As long as they stay in the Duke's good grace, he doesn't have much of an issue with paying them well, whereas he'll nickel and dime all that he can when it comes to pay a wolf, and the privileges they employ are many. A lion has much to lose by socializing with wolves. You have to be a real idiot to step out of line where others can see it, such as by going to a wolven tavern or openly mourning before a wolf's grave. Maybe that black eye that doesn't heal isn't really because he visited his mentor's grave, is it? Maybe his dad had been giving him shit for that wolfess he fancies. Would have been easy for him to back down and behave, easy to punch away the unwanted parts of itself, pretend that they don't exist, but he didn't. I see now. Ricardo is not an idiot. He is an outcast who's made his choice. This kitty has a respectable set of claws, doesn't he? What I'm trying to say is, you like this Badger guy, and you're just saying that like you don't care that people think. That's real cool. And if you like talking to yourself or something, I figured that's just, you got lucky. And all that respect shrunk. Maybe he is an idiot after all. What do you mean with that? Oh, the whole experiment thing. It's like, you got lucky, it's just that, Whatever the Duke was trying to do, it was bound to leave you a bit fucked up. Like, when I recognized you and saw how tall and strong you've gotten, I figured that he was trying to make giants or something. But that doesn't make sense. He despised wolves. He'd never try to make you guys stronger or anything like that. Sorry, am I saying too much? God, when I first mentioned your height, you looked like you were about to rip my head off. Yeah, just like that. I really feel like I could do a murder right now. God, man, I'm just joking, okay? Yeah, I know. You're scary, man. I don't ever want to get in your bad side. I'd much rather be your accomplice than your victim. I giggled, choosing to keep my words to myself. My eyes drifted to the mountains in the far distance, anticipating the approaching daybreak. I was certain then of our approaching doom. Still, I smiled. One day, Ricardo showed up to the hill with a proposal for a job. Nice to see you, Cadgan. You too. What do you have in there? I pointed at the bag that he was holding. I figured that it was another gift, but his smile said otherwise. Oh, this? It's something that I borrowed from the Duke. Borrowed? Uh-huh. What is it? He took out what looked like a steak, but both me and Rain quickly realized that it was something else, something more sinister. Where did you get that? I was hoping that it'd catch your eye. It's one of the artifacts the Duke took from the valley all those years ago. I don't know for sure what it does, but I have theories. I just can't get it to work. But I've been investigating it lately, and I've noticed some similarities in its design to another artifact, the Earth Helpers. Let me cut to the chase. I find this deeply concerning. When I asked my father about it, he shouted at me to leave the matter alone. I'm afraid the Duke has unearthed something unholy, and on top of that, enlisted my father to turn that into an artifact that he can sell to the farmers. But I also would rather not jump to that conclusion. So you want me to look into it and calm your fears? Please, Cadgan. This began as a personal curiosity of mine. I just wanted to know where the Duke came up with the idea for the Earth Helpers. It happened so fast, and being blunt, the Duke isn't talented or knowledgeable enough to come up with such a strange, rune-based design on his own. It's like he used this as a base, and the only person who can think of who could have helped him modify it is my father. I need to know. Do this for me, please. Those who look too deep for the truth are bound to unearth something they should not, my biological parents used to say. Ricardo was standing in the doorway to a world that he was better off staying out of. If left alone, he risked wandering past that threshold, and who knows what would happen to him then. At least, that was what I told myself as I took the artifact from his hands and promised that I'd get to the bottom of this. In truth, I just couldn't ignore his plea. Well, what excuse I used doesn't matter. It ended up being the right course of action, didn't it? After I explained the situation to Irnan, the first thing that we did was to see if it reacted to magic. No matter how much energy flowed from Irnan's fingertips, Ricardo's artifact didn't react. However, the moment that I put my hands on it and concentrated, the runes engraved on it glue a purple color that made my stomach turn. It was the real deal. We spent the next few days in Irnan's shack trying to find any mention of the artifact. I also borrowed an earth helper from Teresa to study it. How this investigation ended is no mystery. The Earth Helpers are indeed valley artifacts modified to power their spells by corrupting nature magic, while the original design cleansed the eye's corruption instead. In the years of studying the eye's history, I heard over and over again about nature wielding the Dark God's power against it, about how every corrupted creature became an obstacle to the eye's awakening. This was a perversion of that, an artifact originally meant to protect the ancient wolf's food supply, now slowly poisoning our food. I doubt that this was a conscious, let alone intentional design on the Duke's part. They probably messed with the unknown runes, one of which was the purifying rune, until the device reacted to nature magic, not realizing what they had done. Snowball, I'll be honest, I don't know if we should get involved in this. What? But this is what we are here for. The Duke is spreading the eye's corruption. He must be punished. Rain disagrees strongly. I figured, but I implore you to remember what your actual duty is, to keep the eye from waking up. Don't get me wrong, the Duke spreading corruption is horrible. In an ideal world, we'd hang him for it. Were the eye to ever wake up, everywhere these things have been used would be in danger. But as things stand now, this will likely sort itself out. I see. Do you think that it's better if we leave this to the Inquisition? Eventually the eye's corruption will manifest. It will be harmless in the grand scheme of things. But it will give the Inquisitors a kick in the butt to look into what's causing it. They will trace this back to Leopoldino and take his head. We don't need to lift a finger. On the other hand, if we accuse the Duke, then it'll be our word against us. Yes, and who do you think that they'll listen to? Rain crossed his arms. It hurt his pride to leave this matter to the Inquisition to eventually deal with, and he was also unhappy to let an excuse to get revenge on Leopoldino to pass. But even he understood the Inquisition would side with Leopoldino before giving us the time of day. All that was left was telling Ricardo what we discovered. I'd need to twist the truth here and there. It's a demonic artifact, it's bad news, but with the demons gone, it won't be a threat. It's better if we leave it to the Inquisition. But when I climbed the hill again and saw his back, something turned in my stomach. I didn't think Rain felt it, but he definitely noticed me flinching. What's wrong? I'm not sure. Do you not want to lie to him? That probably was it. My first friend had made me such a personal request. He had placed his trust in me, and now here I was, plotting to lie to his face. It was a palatable lie, and it was for his sake, but none of that made me feel any better. I mean, maybe we can trust him, like with Teresa. Ricardo noticed me and waved his hand. There you are. All good? Yes, it's just... I lowered my gaze to the bag where I was carrying the artifact. Ricardo sighed and slouched his shoulders. It is as I feared, then. A few seconds that I had to contemplate Rain's question had been enough to reach the clear conclusion that I didn't want to drag Ricardo into this world of dark gods and shamans. I trusted him, but what good would that come out of telling him everything? As far as I was concerned, Ricardo, learning that I was a shaman would have changed little between us. Whether he understood what I am or not, it changes nothing of what connects us. Never did I hold the illusion that he'd known me so deeply. I enjoyed the aspects of us that made us close, but also the distance between us otherwise. Telling him about the eye would endanger him to no benefit. So that wasn't the problem. I simply didn't want to lie to him. That was all. But an incomplete truth is not a lie. I have no doubt that the Earth Helpers are based on that Valley artifact, but they don't represent an immediate danger. The Inquisition will most likely notice them eventually and take action against the Duke. But if you're concerned, I'm not. Don't worry. I always knew that he was a piece of shit, but I never imagined that he'd go that low. He sighed, looking at the treetops with his eyes in his pockets. If the Inquisition comes, well, I won't need to do much grieving. He was already on thin ice, but now... he's dead to me. I have to look out for myself. Those last words made me pause. He tried to play it off, to pretend this meant that he didn't care about his father anymore. That man who beat him and that had disapproved of his relationship with Elva and might have been aware, if not complicit, in the Duke's experiments. Ricardo never expressed any love whatsoever when he brought him up, but despite all that, he did care about him. Otherwise, why would he be so worried about his involvement with the Earth Helpers? Rain touched my hand and showed me a glimpse of it. Ricardo had approached me hoping to discover his father was innocent, and that there was a reasonable explanation to the artifact's similarity to those from the valley. Only to be betrayed once more. In some part of his heart, the lion kept a sliver of love for his father, only to be hurt in return. Why is it that the parent must always torture the child? Saying Ricardo reminded me of Hector. They were nothing alike, but both of them lived in the shadow of their mentor and parent. For the first time in years, I truly wished to see Hector again. I wanted him to be alive and to have fulfilled the promise that he made to Rain all those years ago. To walk into town as his own person, as somebody who had grown out of Iogan's shadow. I didn't care if he still loved Rain or not, or if he was still a doctor or had decided to pursue another path in life. I just wanted to see him be himself and be happy. Because if anyone showed me that it was possible to escape the shadow of one's own past, that would comfort me. The Duke, and even the original Cadgan, who at times like these seemed more like a parent than a sibling, whose life had been cut short, all of them had forced me into this shape that is not mine. I couldn't move. I had to live someone else's life, carry a name that by then I only reacted to out of habit. I wanted to scream, to rip these secondhand tatters to pieces and cut down everything that held me down. But I am just Cadgan. As all of those emotions fluctuated wildly between me and Rain, my stone-like expression barely flinched. Ricardo might have noticed it changing, but thinking that I was merely feeling sorry for him, he pridefully averted his gaze. Hector, I didn't know if you were dead, or if something else had prevented you from returning, or if you had simply abandoned us, but that was the time that I missed you the most, and that I cursed you for your absence. Rain was the one that made friends with you. The time we spent together was something that he let me borrow. But I truly enjoyed reading with you, even if those memories had also dulled when I pushed my priesthood into Rain's hands. At least I still remembered the warmth of your arms touching clearly. But it felt like I'd never see you again. Little did I know that the time of your return was fast approaching. If I recall correctly, this update is split into 2 parts, with the next part being Patreon only right now. I do believe it's done, but of course, like I said, it's Patreon only, so kind of have to wait for it to come out. But yeah. Also, you won't notice this because I will edit it, but unfortunately, when I was recording this, I forgot that I had unfortunately turned off the audio for the game. And of course, I'm going to add it back when I edit it. But yeah, I made my life a little bit harder. So for like an hour, 40 minutes, there was no audio for like the music of the game and whatnot. So now I'm going to have to add it in, which I do anyways when I'm editing because I had to like make cuts. And in order for you not to hear those cuts, I will add the music. And then when that whole scene is complete, I just, push the music into it or the atmosphere or anything else that you might hear in the game. But like, yeah. So note to self, make sure that you're recording the music too. You dumbass. Anyways, so we got to see the younger Ricardo, who is, of course, Cadgan's friend, and he is technically Cadgan's proper friend. Or, I'm starting to get more and more that the one who calls himself Cadgan, or as he put it, the one who reacts to the name Cadgan, isn't Cadgan. And the one who goes by the name Rain, or Run Sky, is the actual Cadgan, as we have all pretty much, sort of already come to the conclusion of. So, like, yeah, and you might say like, oh, well, why did quote-unquote Cadgan change form into, his more demonic form? And I think it's more so because he had the whole priesthood thing thrust upon him by the guy who responds to the name Cadgan. So if he had never done that, perhaps he might have changed. And the guy who goes by the name Rain would have stayed the same, would have retained the form of the wolf formerly known as Cadgan. It's so silly. It's like one is Cadgan and one is not Cadgan, but one is actually Cadgan and one feels that they are not Cadgan. It does suck though for Rain that he got thrust with these emotions, these feelings, and all these other things that the wolf who responds to Cadgan didn't want anymore, or didn't want because he he didn't know at the time to process it properly. After he got, the essence of the valley, injected into him. Like, yeah, like now he's there, now he has to deal with your baggage. And yeah. I'm wondering if the end game for the visual novel would be that both of them rejoin that I'm gonna call him the one who responds to Cadgan from now on, and Rain, in order to accomplish what they need to, in order to keep the sleeping dark god asleep, they need to rejoin as one, and they can't remain separate anymore. And I wonder if that would bring back the original, the OG Cadgan, the one who feels and the one who is technically the original body, or who has the original body, I guess. Well, no, because they both have the body, but the one who embodies the original Cadgan if he was older, I guess, is the proper way to say it. It also, again, goes to show you that the one who responds to the name Cadgan out of habit still feels the emotions and things that are going on. He just feels them kind of like a dull moment, a dull feeling. Like he is aware that he should be feeling sad, or that he should be feeling this or that for something, which is probably what Rain is actually feeling. But because it's so dull and so sort of like foreign to him at that point, it doesn't feel almost real, or he can't really react to it. Whereas Rain feels everything so much that's why he sort of acts kind of like I guess kind of like a kid when he's with when you see the scenes where both of them are interacting. Where he's with Hector, he's pretending to be something else, but when he's with Cadgan, he's you can see that he still has like that sort of childlike nature to him that is lacking in Cadgan, in the one who responds to the name Cadgan out of habit. But yeah. Anywho, so what are your thoughts so far? Comment down in the comments, and thank you all for watching/listening. If you would like to play Devil's Gambit yourself, you can do so by going down into the link in the description, which have a direct link for the itch.io page where you can download and play the game yourself. If you would like to support the project and get earlier access to builds of Devil's Gambit, such as the build that comes directly after this one that finishes out the act or the chapter? Yeah, it's a chapter, right? You can subscribe to the Patreon and, read it right now. It should already be done, I think. And yeah, if you would like to support the channel, you can become a channel member and you get earlier access to the videos that are being scheduled, such as this one, which is being recorded on the 20th, exactly when it came out. Like, I was literally supposed to be recording the rest of Camp Ash now, but I saw this go up and it's like, yeah, okay, I'll record this first. So yeah, you'll see it probably, well, channel members will probably see it on the 21st or the 22nd, it depends. So yeah. For the people who are barely watching it, it should be the new year, probably. 2026. Hopefully that year is better than 2025, but I seriously doubt it. It's gonna be an exhausting 3 years, isn't it? Anyways, if you can't do support through channel membership, you can support through Ko-fi, donate through there. It will be appreciated either way. Or you could also, if you're feeling overly generous, I do have a throne. I do have stuff on there. So yeah. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe, do all that other stuff. But yeah, I guess that's it for now, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.